Okay, so we're live. So, Rick, how are you doing?
I've been doing great. How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was fairly terrible.
That doesn't sound very promising.
Well, yeah, I don't want the whole world to know this because we are live, but I didn't want to travel to New York because I had my parents who were in Maryland and I needed to see them, and my wife went up early because I couldn't go because of work, and it was one of those kind of things I couldn't do everything at once. So I decided to wait. We went separately. So when we finally met up in DC, it was cool then, but it just took a while to get the Christmas spirit in. My son is he's still singing Christmas carols.
Yeah, when I saw you guys were in DC, I thought about hitting you up to see if you wanted to get together while you were here. But it's even where you are over there, it's still like a 2-hour drive for me. I was like, it's still not even that close.
Right. That's exactly right. So, yeah, and I'm gonna get up there actually in the next couple of weeks. Actually, we'll talk about that offline. But
all right.
But yeah, so I had a good time. We went to Ford's Theater. I had been to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that. I think the last time I was there was in like kindergarten or something for a field trip.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. You know how you go somewhere, you go the first time and it's just awesome. You're like, this is like life changing. And then you go again about 2 years later and it's not quite as good. In fact, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
Because part of it is like the enjoyment is like just the first time being there. And that was gone 100%. So when I got the second time, it was like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah, the novelty wears off after you repeatedly go back, which is why I'm amazed at how often you go back to Gettysburg, because it's like, I live close to Gettysburg, and it's like, I can go whenever. Novelty's worn off.
That's different, and I was thinking that, but who knows? I may hate it, next year. Who knows? But
yeah,
I think it's just so much more there. I think the thing like Ford's Theater is it's so like one thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some cool stories. There's some cool stories about that night that happened that I learned that was kind of cool. Like, I knew that he went under the stage because there's like a trap door underneath the stage. He went that way to go to a bar to get drunk so he could have enough courage to come back and do the assassination. But
yeah,
and some story like when he leaves out, the guy who held the horse, he actually, he had to punch the guy out because he wouldn't let go of the horse. And so then they actually had the guy. They actually had John Booth caught. They had the reins of the horse, and he did the spin move with the horse around 3 times and knocked the people away. And he took off down, the alleyway, wherever it was. So that kind of stuff's kind of cool. But
and what was it that he yelled when he jumped down? Was it Semper Tyrannis or something like that?
Sic Simpus Tyrannis. To us,
like death to tyrants or something.
Don't
like
quote
that?
me.
Is that what it means?
Thank you. Correct. Yes, it's the Virginia, and whoever's watching this is going to be yelling and cussing. He's the idiot.
Yeah.
It's the I think it's the motto for Virginia, right?
Yeah. Well,
Sic Simpus Tyrannis.
What I always think is cool about that whole night, especially with like Ford's Theater, where we grew up and went to school, you had the Mary Surratt's house right next door. And then, of course, he goes to Dr. Mudd's house in Charles County to get his leg fixed. And, of course, Dr. Mudd has no idea what just happened. And he just thinks this poor guy's just showing up at his doorstep with a broken leg. So
right.
There's just so much history, even though all that happened in downtown D.C., where we lived and grew up, just so much history around us surrounding that whole night.
Yeah, I might do a video just on that narrative. I mean, I have never been inside the Surratt house.
I never have either. I drove past it every single day going to school.
Really?
It's one of the things, I can go whenever.
Exactly. I mean, I know we walked by and as kids we're saying how it's haunted.
Yeah. You look in the mirror in the bathroom and like, Mary Surratt, Mary Surratt, Mary Surratt.
That's right. And that's right before that was years before the whole thing with the Blair Witch thing. Which the Blair Witch was different. There was like another witch thing that was same kind of story. It was like, I'm not sure what witch it was called, but you have to be at home at night, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in the bathroom with the door closed, lights off, and you have to have your back turned to the mirror. You say it every time, turn around. Yeah. Nobody had the courage to do that, right?
No. Hell no.
I mean, have you done it?
No, I mean, it's probably hokey, but it's like, I'm sure it's probably hokey, but I don't want to be that one guy that actually happens to.
Yeah, I mean, they set the rules so that you cannot really do it within the same mindset.
Yeah.
So especially not at 13 years old.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we started to do this channel stream because what's going on in Iraq now. I don't know much of the information other than the fact that I heard that maybe a dozen rockets were launched, most likely from Iran, into a facility that's a military facility led by the U.S. coalition or the U.S. troops. So, and what I'm hearing now on Twitter and Instagram, and from people that are sending me messages, that there's a lot of conflicting reports. They're showing tweets of pictures from people that are very similar to pictures in 2016 and 2018. And I got like 4 or 5 of these pictures, different images across the board that look really similar. And so I think even Sean Hannity, I think, said in this broadcast that there's a lot of misinformation going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell because I saw some of those pictures as well, and it's like in this day and age, you don't know who to believe or what to believe unless you were actually physically present at a scene or have firsthand knowledge. You don't know what to believe anymore.
Especially now when you have everything's high definition, everything beyond 2015, everything's going to be crystal clear, perfect from here on out. Millennials' pictures are going to be perfect. Where our pictures in the 70s looks like crap. You know it was like 1970. But a kid born today has a 4K picture. It's going to look pristine for forever.
Yeah, it's like when I watch highlight videos from old NFL games about the playoffs, and they have the cheesy graphics from the 70s and the horrible video quality, and you're like, God, how did we even watch this back in the day?
You look at VHS tapes and what I forget the resolution 4:3, whatever it was, VGA or whatever, SGA or PAL or NTSC, whatever it is. That quality was so crazy with the flicker refresh rate being what it is, but we just sucked it up and did it. We didn't care.
Yeah, you were happy to have your 3 channels.
Happy to have your 3 channels, and if you had a VHS and you knew how to program it.
Yep.
And how many times have you programmed a VHS tape and find out, you come back from school, whatever, and find out that you didn't do it right?
Well, I think mine is still flashing 12.
Or the power would go out, right? That happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
If you set it perfectly, then there's a power surge and it flickers off. Because back then, the capacitor only held like a half a second.
Yeah. And with the all the stuff going on about the fake pictures or whatever, if you throw on top of that like the potential for deep fake videos, I mean, you could have like a video of Trump coming out saying something. It's not really him saying something. You just don't know anymore.
You know what? You bring up a good point. Are you into the Collider stuff at all?
I am.
What happened about a video?
About them like shutting down and basically firing everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a reason for what I'm saying here. That they're going to go into the deep fake stuff. That's the only thing that's really, that's really what's really getting a lot of attention, a lot of hits and clicks on their page. And I looked at some of them for the first time yesterday. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah, the George Lucas ones. I mean, they are pretty.
Well, I saw the one with George Lucas, and it was like Mark Ellis, and it had like 2 of the celebrities, and the impressions were just perfect. George Lucas is a little bit of a caricature. His look fake, but his look like they tried to accentuate his hair, but the other guys looked like they were real. Could be real.
Yeah.
And that technology is only going to get better.
Well, the first time I saw the one with George Lucas, the first time that they did it, they had the George Lucas doing a review when the trailer dropped, and I was watching. I was like, it took me like 2 viewings to realize that's not actually George Lucas.
Oh yeah,
because I thought it was actually like George Lucas, and he was just roasting on the trailer,
Oh man, we should have done a reaction video to that.
Yeah, I remember when the thing came up, you said Lucasfilm at the beginning of the trailer, and he goes like, oh, there's Daddy's name. Pay Daddy some money. I was like, I can't believe George is actually saying that.
Oh man, that's a whole nother discussion. Poor George.
Yeah.
But back to your point, though, I'm trying to keep it
Yeah.
remotely in the same stream of thought.
Yeah, we have a way of going off tangents and going off topic.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I do want to get back into that deep fake stuff though, because that the point of that was they could, who's to say an organization can't do something like that, or
yeah, absolutely.
If they hack into our networks, whatever, who knows what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, you get like some kind of state-sponsored terrorism activity, and they can create some kind of deep fake video of Trump saying or doing something, put it out on American media, and the whole country would go nuts.
Or even something like 24, the TV series that this will be a spoiler for those if you don't want to hear a spoiler for 24. It's been out for 20 years, but there was an episode where they basically kidnapped the president. No, it wasn't the president. It was the Secretary of Defense. I think it was Secretary Keller. I think that's what his name was. And they basically made him say a statement, right, in front of the world. Why, right now, with this deep fake stuff, you don't even need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if someone like North Korea, who doesn't, the people don't know anything anyway, it's a closed system. The people don't know anything what's going outside the real world. Why not do a video of one of our leaders saying something stupid?
Yeah. Well, speaking of North Korea, you know darn well that they're watching right now to see how we're going to react to Iraq. Because, depending on what our response is to Iraq, it kind of might give ideas to North Korea of what they can do and what they can't do and how far they can push us.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that concerns me is so much that not that we can't defend ourselves or whatever, but the fact is the Democrats, and I hate to put this political, but I have to, they're undermining the unity of our country. There was a time when the Democrats and Republicans would fight, and then if there was an attack happen, we would not fight for that day and then attack the day after.
Yeah.
There was always like look at the Bush. Even they hated Bush, but when it came time to form a coalition for the first Gulf War and even the second one, it wasn't much in the second one, but even the Democrats then even came together to give the money, to fund it and to actually get the UN resolution to green light.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like like a regular family. Siblings fight all the time, but if if an outside force attacks the family, they all band together and they join together. But that's the way it should be. Like if the Democrats and Republicans want to fight against each other, internally, that's to be expected. And when something happens outside, then we band together, we join together, and we're one unified force. But that's not what happens. It's just everything's got to be okay. We just have to be whatever against Trump. That's just Democratic motto. Like, I saw the memes where, Trump is a magician. He goes, and just like that, I got the Democrats to support Iran.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's funny, but then it becomes a problem like it is now. When the rubber hits the road, we need to come together and stand against our enemies.
Yeah. I mean, their hatred of Trump and everything that he stands for just overrides everything else. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's going to be, it's going to be a problem with them going down the line because I don't know how they're going to. Right now, they can't even save face at this point. But Trump gives them ability to save face every so often, and they never take advantage of it.
Nope.
He'll put out an olive branch, and they could easily take a low hanging fruit issue that they barely agree on and give them some prop, and then get some goodwill from the independents, and then let the Republicans put the guards down and then hit them. That's how it used to be. They used to give Bush a compliment here and there. Mm-hmm. The Republicans would be like, well, maybe the Democrats aren't that bad. And then they turn around and, but now the gloves are off.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what Pelosi is going to do with these articles of impeachment, why she's sitting on them after, the whole thing was, it's a crisis, it's emergency, we have to get this done now. Now she's been sitting on them for almost a month.
And I'm also concerned about why the Republicans have not done anything with that. From my understanding that Mitch McConnell can just as easily dismiss them, but I think there's a faction that wants to have a trial, and there's a faction that doesn't want to have a trial. So I don't know what the game is.
I'm torn on that as well. It's like part of me would like to see just the Republicans just outright dismiss the charges, but another part of me would like to see, no, let's go through with this. Let the president's defense team do its thing and maybe see what can come out of this with like the whole Biden situation. Because I'd like to see what comes out of it if they can, get all that to come out.
Well, they're going to hem and haw, and they're going to slow roll the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing's going to be clean cut with these guys. They're going to play every game there is. Mitch McConnell, I believe this week, maybe even today, said that Nancy Pelosi is not going to change the rules. And so he seems to be holding firm on this, but we'll have to see what he does.
Yeah. I've always kind of wondered if her tactic is. I think they're trying to stall to get more evidence, but I think she was pressured into doing this by the radical, left of her party, and maybe she can just say, well, okay, we did the impeachment there. You guys should be happy now. But I think she probably is holding on to get more evidence because she knows how weak it is.
Yeah, and I think part of that is if she has that position, then it just shows you how crazy and stupid, how uninformed they are, because there's no evidence. I mean, and so they must really believe what the media has been telling them. Because all in all, you have these fake stories that come up, and then the narrative gets out, and the people in Congress, the whips, you have the press corps, they all get in line on the talking points, and then they're all saying the same thing across the board. You find out that is a non-news story or a fake story, and then they either have to backtrack, which they never do, and they just move on to the next one. And you would think that after doing it 15 or 16, 17 times, that they would get the clue that their sources are not reliable. But yet it seems like they still hold that card and continue on to hell or high water.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens with this. It's going to be like great theater.
Yeah, and how are they going to be able to do their job, especially people like Biden and people like Warren, who are senators? Is Biden a senator? Is he still senator of Delaware?
I don't think so. I don't think he's anything.
Okay, so he doesn't have to work, but I know Warren's a senator. And Booker hasn't dropped out yet, but he should.
Yeah.
But my point is they're going to have to do their jobs. They're going to have to be in session to hear the testimony if there is testimony. So if they drag it out a long time, it's going to hurt their campaign, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got Bernie Sanders and Klobuchar.
Yeah, Bernie, definitely. Yeah, Bernie and Booker and
I think Biden
dropped out though, Kamala.
Yeah, I think Biden's the only one who, and well, Buttigieg, but I mean, he's just the mayor, but I think Biden and Buttigieg are the only ones that really don't have any stake in the process.
Is he an active mayor?
I think so. I think he still is.
Of like Gary, Indiana?
I can't remember what city in Indiana, because I remember he was getting a lot of flack from the police because they had the shooting there. A white officer, black suspect, and the white officer hadn't turned on his body cam, so there was all this suspicion about what the motivation was, and he pretty much threw the police department under the bus. And I know the police department came out against him. I can't remember what town he's from.
I'm looking it up now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was doing the same thing. But yeah, I remember.
Looks like it's South Bend.
South Bend, that's right. Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, because I remember.
Because if it was Gary, Indiana, no offense to anyone here listening to this from Gary, but you have to agree that Gary is not your Bel Air of the Midwest. I think that's probably a fair statement.
Yeah.
Because we went to go see Michael Jackson's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was only a few years ago. That was like in 2014. No, probably 2012. Went to Illinois, coming back from that area, and said we're only like an hour away from Michael Jackson's house. We gotta go check it out, dude. I'm telling you, it was broad daylight, and we were terrified.
Yeah,
because it backs up against the school, so like dead ends against like the school straight ahead. So you can't go but one way in. You can go left or right, I believe, at the corner. But we didn't want to get out of the car to even take pictures. We ended up doing it. I said, lock the doors. I'll be out in 25 seconds. And
when you came back, did all your wheels gone and your car up on blocks?
No, it was like it was right there in front of the house. I mean, we was like 15 feet from the curb, right? I mean, it was like right there, but it just the whole area anyway. But so I don't know how anyone could run for mayor of that town.
Yeah.
and from what I understand, South Bend outside of Notre Dame isn't much better, especially in the more poor regions.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember him like when he first announced his candidacy, they had that controversy about the police shooting and
the cop, yeah.
Yeah, and he threw the police department under the bus, and the police union and the department was pissed at him. So
what happened out of that? What came out of that?
I'm guessing that everything was above board and justified because you never heard anything about it. Because obviously, if there was something wrong with it, it would probably have been all over the news. But since nothing's ever reported, that must mean it was fine.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming. I haven't researched it, but that's typically how these things work. If there's no issues with it, then you never hear about it.
Yeah, I'm just checking the headlines here, making sure there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks like our troops are under fire.
Yeah. So did you see that? So the two bases that they hit, was it Assad Air Base, and I can't remember what the other name is.
They hit two bases? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they, the reports are they fired like a little more than a dozen rockets at two separate bases, like one in like the northern province of Iraq, another one was about 100 miles, I think, west of Baghdad. I think that's Al-Assad. But the last thing I heard before I jumped online with you is that the initial reports are that maybe that the rockets like didn't do as much damage. There may be some like casualty, not like I haven't heard any fatalities, but if there are any casualties, it's more like Iraqi troops and like no U.S. citizens. At least that's what I'm hearing. So it kind of makes me think that maybe the missiles were specifically targeted to land in an area to not do maximum damage, if that makes sense.
Okay, Rick. I am shocked that we actually have people on here listening to us.
Oh, okay.
I said, yeah, we'll go live, and no one's going to get on anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, most time it's just you and I catching up with old times.
Well, normally we do a pre-recorded because I'm too scared to do anything live because I'm afraid of it. But anyway, I'm going to answer some questions here, if you don't mind. I got not many people are on. I think about four people are on.
Yeah.
One guy by the name of Taha, if I pronounce your wrong name, I'm sorry. Tadeh is Tadeh. He asked a question, gentlemen, got any casualty reports yet? I don't think we have any casualties. I don't think there's any. I don't think we have any of that information. Maybe, or for that matter, even any damage. I don't know, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard of any fatalities. And I've heard reports that there's no American casualties, and I haven't heard any about fatalities in general. But I did hear some reports that there were some Iraqi casualties. Again, no word on it if any fatalities, but as of right now, no American casualties, but there may have been some Iraqi casualties.
See, here's the thing: what people don't understand, right? You have, these. Obviously, if it's coming from Iran, we're gonna play this by the book. Mm-hmm. Allegedly, if Iran was the one that did it, the bad guys, the American troops are going to be bunkered down. They're going to be in a position that's going to be maximize their safety. They're not going to be out, walking the dog,
Right.
And so, the only people that are going to get hurt, most likely, are the civilians.
Yeah, and the U.S. military had all kinds of contingency plans or planning for something. And I'm sure the intelligence network was in full gear and like, okay, this is probably what's going to happen. So I'm sure that all of our American assets and troops were like well protected.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna get to these questions. I got about 3 of them. My buddy John, who actually did a pod. I'm sorry, that's not. This person here is Emil. Okay, this person asked, hey, what do you think would happen if there's any U.S. casualties?
If there's any U.S. casualties, if there's fatalities, I mean, I think Trump's been pretty clear. If there's any American deaths, there's going to be hell to pay. So if there were an American death, I would imagine the first things to be knocked out would be their 3 oil refineries, and their nuclear facility would be next.
You know what? That's brilliant, dude. That's a great response. You should get a job within the White House, man. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, I think that if we're going to respond, like, again, depends on what the damage is. If there's if these missiles like did no damage and just minor casualties, I think the U.S. could look at Iran kind of like, if you've got a young child acting up and a parent goes, okay, are you done now? Are you done acting up? You know, I think the U.S. could look at it like that and go, okay, are you done now? Are you done with your tantrum? Move on. But if there is any significant damage, or if anybody was, any fatalities, I mean, I could see the U.S. being totally justified in launching strikes against those missile sites in Iran.
Right.
Because obviously, if you got one country firing missiles into another country, that's a problem. So I could see the
Sure.
U.S. want to take out those sites. But if there's no, because when Iran took out the drone, when they took the oil tanker and all that, Trump was like, okay, all right, keep acting a fool, but the minute the American blood is shed and we have a fatality, it's on. And of course, that's what happened. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I could see them being justified in taking out those missile sites to prevent any future attacks. But yeah, if there was an American death, I'd expect, I would hope that if anybody worked at those oil refineries or the nuclear power plant would call in sick.
Okay. Buddy John here, he's been, he basically says here that the Democrats have shot themselves in the foot. Now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that. I think, but here's the thing. In their defense, they have to retaliate to save face. So if I was them, I would have fired a shot that was going to miss by about, 400 feet,
Yeah.
A couple of football fields. But first of all, their rockets don't have that kind of precision to begin with.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be trying to hit the base. I just want to say, look, guys, I see we attack back, and if I was the U.S., I wouldn't retaliate. And not at that level, at least. You know what I mean?
I think that's exactly what they did, because I don't have the name of the base in front of me. I can look it up, but there's another base, a bigger air base. It's not as big as Al Asad, like size-wise, but as far as like American troop-wise, there's a bigger one closer to the Iranian border, that if they wanted to hit, it would have been a closer shot for them. But I think they knew that if they hit that base, there's a chance that they could have killed some Americans, and then they'd be screwed. So I think that they opted for the safer target of, possibly missing some just for a show of force. Like, okay, we said we're going to retaliate, and we did. So there you go.
Yep, agree. And Emil says, hey, what do you think would happen next if there's any U.S. casualties? I think we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
I think if there are U.S. casualties, I think all bets are off. And I think Trump's going to have to he's going to have to. Now, as far as him hitting mosques and stuff, I don't see him doing that. But I think he wants them to think that he's just crazy enough that he's considering
it. Yeah. And like I said, you know that North Korea is watching this going, okay, how far is Iraq going to push the U.S. and what's the U.S. response going to be, so that, if we want to do something, we know how far to get. Because remember, they had that warning over Christmas, like, oh, well, what kind of Christmas present does the U.S. want? And of course, they did nothing. But I got to imagine North Korea is watching this very closely to see what we're going to do.
Well, I'm going to get back to the nuclear site. Where I thought that was so brilliant, because Israel's been wanting to hit those things for over a decade. Mm-hmm. In fact, Obama basically told them not to do it, and Bush told them not to do it, because they've been building those facilities for a long time. And Israel, the thought was they were going to bomb them, just like they did with I think they bombed, was it Iraq? They bombed back in the early 90s, I believe. They waited for the facility to get right before it's open, then they came in and did the airstrike and blew it up.
Yeah, I think it was like the day it went online.
Exactly. Yeah. But then actually, what ended up happening was they actually hit one of those with that virus, where the centrifuges were basically they were clocked just a little bit above the normal capacity, and over time they burned themselves out. They didn't even recognize it until it was too late.
Yeah,
it was a super virus that got in there somehow. They don't know how they did it. It's like a CIA super virus that somehow got in there. It's a closed system, no internet, but yet somehow it sat there and then figured out where to go. And over the course of like 6 or 7 months, it finally did this thing and blew it up.
Yeah,
put the Iraq nuclear program back like 10 years.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching the coverage tonight, and I was thinking how funny it would be if we just had a switch where we could just like turn off Iran's internet. Be like, all right, kill their internet.
Yeah, Guy John says, with my Democrats comment was when y'all were talking about the impeachment. Okay. So, yeah, shot themselves in the foot. He's talking about the impeachment talk we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah.
Which again, they're always backing themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
He says here that there's 52 targets he talked about. That Trump mentioned 52 targets, one for every. He didn't mention this in his statement, but 52 was the number of hostages that were taken.
Yeah.
They were kept captive for 444 days. A guy, the lucky number says the question is when the U.S. retaliates. I agree. It's only a matter of time on that. So we got about 4 or 5 comments. I feel pretty good. Thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah.
Rick is with law enforcement, so he has a perspective that I don't have.
Yeah.
In fact, you want to talk about you were MP, correct?
Yeah, prior Air Force as well. Yeah.
So you were a cop in 2 levels.
Yeah. I remember I was active duty during the first Gulf War, and I was stationed up in Alaska. And I remember when that broke out in August, I was so bummed because I wanted to get shipped over. I wanted my whole unit to go, and we never ended up going. I wanted to go. I wanted to go so bad.
I was hiding in my dorm. I remember exactly where I was. It was in August because it was hot. It was like, and I just heard the news that the airstrikes had started.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap. Because this is our first war. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah. I was like ready to go. I was like, oh, come on, send me. I want to go.
Yeah. Well, when 9/11 happened, I wanted to go. I was pissed.
I even feel like that way now. I was like, man, it's like if something breaks out, I may be almost 50, but I'm still ready to go.
So he wants to know if you want to get on this podcast. I won't put you on the spot here, but
who is that?
It's the Sweating Bullets podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, you had sent me something about that. I'll hit you up offline and figure out how we can arrange that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to say his channel without his permission, but he actually said in the comments, so he said it. So so I try and keep things on a need to know basis. I'm not gonna put you on blast just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his social security number is 570.
Yeah. Hey, how'd you get the first 2 numbers of my social? Because I was born in DC.
I need to have a little caption here. Anything here is fictitious or not. What's that? Any character in this movie is fictitious or intended to be fictitious in case we get sued.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, all right. So I don't want to keep this kind of short. Did you want to keep going, or did you want to hop off? It's 10 o'clock.
No, I'm good. I know we were just talking offline about all this. Both of us were watching Fox News about this whole Iran thing, and we're like, screw it. Let's just jump online and start talking about it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So anyone who still cares to watch, you come on, you're like, okay, well, you watch it, and you say, okay, no more. But for those who are still on, we had talked about doing a live stream, essentially a pre-recorded live stream. I'm going to tell you now, it was called the Top 3, where every week I'll do 3 topics, one that I prepare for, one that Rick prepares for, and one that we just agree to talk about without preparing for it. We just kind of go off the cuff and talk about it. Give about 30 minutes or so and just see how it is. And whoever wants to be a guest host or more than one person, it doesn't have to be 2, it can be up to 6, and go from there. Who knows? I mean, to me, this is a loose format. I don't care. I'm still trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing. I've done several different things. I'm doing short documentaries now. Have you seen any of those? I did 2, one on Drudge Report and one on the Salminati.
Yeah, I like the female voiceover that you got working for you now.
Yeah, that's a hire. I go on the street and
independent contractor.
I'm sorry.
Independent contractor.
Independent contractor. Yep. Yeah, because I think what it is I'll go ahead and tell you what the format is. I mean, no one's gonna see this anyway. Essentially, if a female is doing the article, I'm gonna be the one to do the intro, and so of course the female person would read the article as if it was the person writing it, and then I would do the outro, and vice versa. And so basically, it's like reading Rainbow for like current news articles. So that way, I can just read the article and then talk about it without having to worry about giving instant credibility. Because sometimes, until you really have a platform, no one's gonna believe you. So you gotta have to have a source to really reference to before people actually take you seriously.
Yeah, you got to build your credibility.
And even Tim Pool, as much as he is as good as he is, he still has an article all the time when he does his blogs. So
yeah, you got to have your source material.
Yep.
All right.
So what about football, man? What's going on with that?
Well, my Cowboys hired Mike McCarthy, so I think that's going to be a good hire. I mean, Jason Garrett just had to go. I mean, I just think he just stopped caring after a while. I mean, with as much talent as the Cowboys have, how do you not make the playoffs with that talent?
I predicted you guys would lose 3 games this year.
Yeah, well, we lost significantly more than that.
Well, I didn't watch the games. I thought that when you got your running back signed, I thought that was and I'm on record saying that I thought that your quarterback would be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
because I was comparing him to Seattle.
Oh yeah,
who's currently the highest paid, right?
Yeah, I think Dak's still going to get paid, but I think his contract's not going to be as high as it could have been. Because I mean, he did have some bad games, but I think some of that was a lot of play calling mistakes, and I don't know how much, with the offensive coordinator, how much Jason had to do with it, but yeah, it was just so frustrating. I'm just glad that even though the Eagles won the NFC East, that they got bounced out of the first round by the Seahawks. And even if Dallas had won the NFC East, just backed into the playoffs, I don't think they would have gotten past Seattle either. So it would have been short-lived.
Well, I haven't watched much football this year, but I was kind of disappointed with the Cowboys. And I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but I'm disappointed because it made me look bad.
Well, I was hoping did you watch the Bills game?
I did not. I heard it was great.
Oh, that was a fantastic game. I so wanted the Bills to win. They had a decent shot. They could have won it. And then, I can't believe the Titans beat the Patriots in Foxborough. That was a shocker.
I understand that the Patriots had a chance at the end, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. I mean, they had the ball left. They got the ball at like the 1 yard line with I didn't even think there was a minute left in the game. It was like less than a minute, and then Brady throws a pick six that pretty much sealed it. But, it's one of the things where, it's a possibility that Brady doesn't even come back to the Patriots next year. So it's like I remember when Montana left the 49ers, and you see him in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform. It's like, this just doesn't look right. And then of course,
that's not right.
Then Montana takes the Chiefs to the playoffs and stuff. So it's like, I just Brady's one of those guys that you just cannot. It's like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was always a Colt. And he's like, you see him in the Broncos. He's like, there's just certain players you just cannot see them playing for a different team. But but he could go to another team and take them to the Super Bowl.
It's like O.J. Simpson in the San Francisco uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or Tony Dorsett for the 1 year that he played for the Broncos, or Emmitt Smith the 1 year he played for the Cardinals.
Yeah, that didn't work out either. But he got the money for that, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's all they go for is just for the money. But it's just so weird to see him in another uniform.
Okay, we got some breaking news here. First of all, let me just answer this gentleman here. I'm not going to pronounce your name correctly, but I'm going to do my best. Alba Kareem, he's asking, what's happening in the world? I hope everything's going to be okay. I do as well. And John says that the Pentagon sent 6 B-52 Stratofortress bombers to military base on Diego Garcia that's beyond the range of Iran's ballistic missiles to prepare to hit Tehran. Dang. To hit Tehran, that's a capital if you guys didn't know, if given the order.
Yeah.
The article says it's 3,000 miles from Iran. Yeah, I knew about the Stratofortresses. Those are pretty badass.
Yeah, and I mean that was all part of the contingency plan. Getting everything in place, anticipating some kind of hostility. Depending on what Iran did. So I mean they've got the aircraft carriers out there in the Gulf. They got all the B-52s going. They got the F-35s available. So, I mean, depending on what Iran did, I mean, they have the assets there to strike and strike hard if they want to.
All we need is a bomb carrier and a F-22.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I saw probably need a little bit more than that, but that's because that can reach. What happens is with that thing is they basically the F-22 or even F-35, but the F-22 is a little bit more stealthy, can go into the house area and get targeted. And well, actually, what they do is they send drones in first. let the drones get targeted,
Mhm.
and then the bomber asset takes them out from there. So you send the drones in as like a, to get killed or destroyed, and then they bring in the whatever. There's many tactics they can use. But yeah, with the I saw an article that China, Russia, and Iran were doing joint operations, testing, whatever, in the I guess in the Strait where the Strait of Hormuz is,
Mhm.
and people were like getting all nervous. I'm like, look, do you realize that the United States 7th Fleet, not the entire U.S. Navy, just the 7th Fleet, we have like 7 of them. These, that monitor parts of the world, and the 7th Fleet is the one that's over there in the Middle East. That alone would destroy all those people, all those 3 areas. For one, Iran is a brown water fleet. They don't go out anywhere out in the middle of the ocean. They just hang around the peripheral part. And we're a formidable force. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be casualties on our part, but I mean, there's nothing to be fearful for 3 countries against us, because in reality, our defense is way superior than the other countries combined, even.
Yeah. I'm looking at Fox News now. Did you see Trump's tweet? It says, no U.S. injuries. Trump tweets all is well. Yes, I wonder what. Woo!
Get on board.
Yeah, woohoo!
I get run over.
Yeah.
I think we're right. I think Iran's got to do something.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate though. You heard the funeral today. Like almost 50 people were killed in a trample. Trying to, I don't know what happened, but it looks like there was a stampede.
Yeah.
At the funeral.
Yeah.
People were killed.
I think one of my favorite things from that the whole and besides Soleimani getting blown into bits, that was one of my favorite things. But my second favorite thing was, if it's true, because you have to second guess every picture you see, was the meme going around about his body being transported around for the funeral in a Chevy.
Is that true? I saw a picture.
Yeah, so it was like the meme was like something like Iranian terrorist being transported around for funeral procession by the heartbeat of America. So I was like, part of me was like, okay, is this really a true picture where it's really a Chevy truck that's taking them around? Because like, wouldn't you think somebody in the Iranian government would be like, maybe we should cover up the logo or get a different vehicle to drive this guy around in? But if that was true, that is classic.
You couldn't find a German car.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I think we're going to be okay on this one, but
yeah,
I don't, again, let me just rehash here. I said this in a video yesterday, that the War Powers Act essentially gives the president the authorization to, take out assets if it's a preemptive measure against an imminent attack.
Mm.
And so according to, what's his name? Pompeo, he said, and they're going to give this information to the Democrats in Congress to show them the intelligence of what they had, what actionable items they had in order to make that attack. So hopefully, and I'm bringing this up because Pelosi just with the past hour blamed Trump for the attack on the 2 bases in Iraq.
Of course. Yeah, but I think Iraq or Iran, specifically put those missiles where they wanted to do the least amount of damage, but to just say, okay, we retaliated. So now hopefully they're done.
Hi, Jace. If I pronounce your name wrong, please put the pronunciation in the comments. But Jace Daniel says a 4.9 earthquake in Iran not too long ago.
Like tonight?
I think. I mean, based on what.
Oh,
I'm not sure if it's a guy or gal, but it's Jace. So maybe God's saying something to him. Maybe God's got
enough ordinance to register 4.9 on the Richter scale.
That or God says, Trump, step aside. I got this.
I got this. That would be pretty awesome though if we dropped enough ordinance to register a 4.9 on the Richter scale.
We can do it like in Superman the movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a nuclear bomb, of course, but
yeah.
the whole point was to hit a vital part on the San Andreas Fault, which would put the whole western coast into the ocean.
Yeah, which the way that California is going, it'd probably be a good thing right now.
You know what? That's the area that's actually the most liberal.
Yeah, shocker. The last time I was out there was in 2014. I was in San Francisco and LA in 2014, and unless they get their act together, I have no intentions of ever want to go back.
Yeah, it's sad because San Francisco, when my parents went there in the 80s, came back and said how wonderful it was. They told stories of Fisherman's Wharf. They told stories of just the trolleys and everything, and how beautiful it was. That conversation came up again for Christmas time. Crickets.
Yeah,
they didn't say anything about it, And I don't want to put them on spot here, but even they acknowledge that things aren't the way they used to be. And I was even trying to give San Francisco some props, saying, that new stadium they built for the Golden State Warriors, they're saying that even that is causing a big problem because there's like trash and garbage everywhere, and that it costs so much money from the government to subsidize it. That's even made a bigger problem in that area. It makes it even more of a eyesore because here you had this big $1 billion facility. It's like $1 billion, right? In the middle of this area that's totally decimated with like crime and corruption. And at this point, you can even they lowered the limit to what you can actually steal. I think it's like they lowered larceny to a certain amount that you can steal up to a certain amount of money. And
you mean
why crime is going up?
Yeah. You know what's going to happen is, we're old enough to remember like how Times Square was back in the 70s and early 80s. Where like it was just all sex trade and just crime ridden. And it's like once the tourist dollar starts drying up, and like what was it? Was it Oracle or whatever? Some company that
Oracle,
their
Larry Ellis.
Yeah.
Larry Ellis. Yep.
Yeah. So once that starts happening and all the tourists stop going, then they'll change it because they're losing money.
Ormival's briefcase said, "Hello, Mr. Kyle. You do good work on your channel. Thank you so much." I don't think so.
I think you do great work, Kyle. I look forward.
I'm glad somebody appreciates my work. What I'm doing. Really, I'm just trying to do this. None of my channel stuff is monetized. I don't care about money yet. Because I'm still doing it in my spare time. I'm a computer guy, so this stuff, I'm doing stuff on the cheap. I buy stuff within my own means because I use it for other things too besides this. So it's not like it's a big burden for me, but I love to do more. But I feel like if you build it, people will come, right? So I know that you're like into the do the whole YouTube thing. So what is the YouTube algorithm to get you more noticed? Because on every video I see like, oh, you gotta subscribe, you gotta like and share and comment to boost the channel, and of course that takes work and an effort to do all that stuff. So I always feel bad when I watch your videos, like, yeah, maybe I should. I've known him for like 40 some years. Maybe I should like drop a like on his video. but I always wonder like, what is the algorithm that drives like the YouTube stuff for people to see your stuff, or for you to actually get some traction with it? Okay, so I know enough about this to be dangerous. Okay, so the algorithm itself changes all over the place all the time, but it comes down to three basic things. Well, one basic thing, really. It all comes down to this, and every variation is based on this one thing: eyes on the screen. And that comes down to whether they engagement, right? So they want your eyes on the screen. So if people react to your video, so if you like a video, if you subscribe, if you watch halfway through or the whole video, that tells YouTube, oh, this person likes this content. Let me find other content that this person might like. So it goes out in this database and finds content that's similar to that channel based on what YouTube thinks it is. So that's why it's really important for you to have a single themed YouTube channel. So in other words, I'm doing cooking with fried fish on Wednesdays. That's it. I don't do anything outside of cooking on Wednesdays with fried fish. The more granular you get, the better off YouTube will know. Now, if you vary all over the place, if you do movies and TV and whatever like I'm doing, then you run the risk of having you being pulled in and different people being pulled in that don't really want your content.
Mhm.
So that's why they're going to assume what your content is, and based on that, and based on their engagement, whether they stay on that screen for more than half the video, they like it, they share it, they subscribe, any kind of positive action, they're going to propagate that video to other people. So, and what they'll have is, so if your video shows up on a YouTube channel, so if you go to YouTube, you'll see the video that you search for. On the right-hand column, you'll see a bunch of videos that are suggested. That's called engagement. Okay, it's a term for us. It's called exposure, engagement, whatever. If you click on that, that's another level. So if the fact that your video is there gets put out on someone else's video as a suggestion, that's one thing. That's one level. If they click on it, oh hell breaks loose. Because then you can say, oh, so not only did they get this, they clicked on it and they subscribed and they clicked on a suggested video of you and they watch a follow-on video of you, then more stuff gets on your stuff. That's why things go viral so quickly, because people are so they are tuned into what their message is, and then they basically, and then you have this thing called you have hashtags and so forth, where you basically can go out and search Google to see what keyword phrase that you're actually using that makes people come to your site. So I have a tool that I go out every video, no matter what it is. If that keyword phrase is over 47%, I use that as my first for the description of my video. Then I use that to generate the tags for that video. And then that also helps with the engagement. Now, back in the day, it didn't matter. The algorithm was way less sophisticated. So people could get to 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 views within a couple of days because YouTube didn't care. All you had to have is hashtags. Those days are gone. So now it's more eyes on the screen and getting people to interact with your videos, whether it be sharing, liking, subscribing, or recommending to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure hashtag Iran is going to be trending tonight.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I always wonder, because you watch these videos and all the hosts always say, oh yeah, make sure you get to drop a like or leave a comment. So it's like I didn't know if one was more important than the other, because I mean it does take some work. Like, all right, let me go hit the like button, let me go leave a comment. I mean, I like watching my stuff and getting out.
The problem with hitting the like button, in my opinion, I'm probably talking myself out of some clicks here, is when you hit the like button, it saves those like videos. So if you always liking videos, all of a sudden your like videos are going to be like forever, and you never be a chance to actually go into it. So
yeah,
if you just watch half the video, or if you watch like over a third of the video, that's pretty much enough. That tells YouTube that you care enough about it. Yeah. It's the ones that click on after like 10 seconds and click out. That's the ones that they know, okay, that person didn't like this video, so I'm not going to send him any more of your stuff.
Well, I don't know how many other people out there, or even if you do it like what I do now, but like YouTube has become like a podcast for me when I go to work. So when I go to work, instead of like me throwing on my old podcast I used to listen to, I find YouTube channels and I just throw them on while I'm working in my hour commute, have it playing all through the Bluetooth, and I don't really watch. I don't watch the videos while I'm driving, but I hear them, so they become my new podcasts. So like when you upload a new video, it's like, oh, let me see what Kyle's talking about today on my drive to work.
Yeah, I hate all my videos. There's only two that I actually like, I think, because I think for me, I'm just a perfectionist. I see things that are just not right, and I don't like it. I don't like listening to it a lot of times because I realize that's a mistake.
But that is 100% natural, though. I mean, I think you're doing a great job. I listen to your stuff. I like your stuff, and obviously you got 11 or 12, 1,300 other people that like your stuff. So obviously you're doing something right. But it's natural. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's natural to like not like your own stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Marvin Gaye hated his own voice.
Yeah. And was it Adam Driver doesn't like watching his own movies?
Really?
Watching his own movies?
And it's sad because even the movies he did with Star Wars, he was not the reason why that didn't work.
No.
He was, in fact, the actors in that movie that's not their fault at all.
Yeah, it was a story in the writing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daisy Ridley did a fantastic job, especially in the first one.
Well, we got to save this because we're doing hashtag release a JJ cut.
Okay, we're now going to go into the whole format of what we're going to do before. So, Frank Clementi says drones over Midwest last 24 hours. Midwest United States.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not bombing our own people now, are we? hopefully the drone operator knows where they're going.
Yeah. Well, getting back to what
or maybe Mid East.
I hope in Mid East, because Midwest would be like that would be Buttigieg.
Yeah.
That would be South Bend.
Yeah.
Maybe Trump's going after that. Maybe Trump's going after the enemies for real.
Yeah, that would be funny. You thought I was going after Iran, suckers?
Yeah. Trump's like, oh, I thought you said Midwest. That was a total mistake.
How funny would that be though if like he sent out a tweet like that? Yeah, just started bombing the Midwest.
What's your comment about the JJ cut? Let's get to that real quick. So since I got you, I don't want to forget that. So yeah, so you know the deal on that?
So
maybe we should get some intro first for people who are listening.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how many people like remember when Zack Snyder started doing what was it?
Batman.
I can't remember if he was doing
League.
Yeah, it was Batman versus Superman. And you know, so Zack Snyder started it, and then his teenage daughter killed herself, and then he took himself off the project to deal with all the family stuff, which is completely understandable. And then I can't remember who else came in to finish the movie for him. And then so you know, but of course everybody knows how Batman versus Superman turned out, and then so everybody wanted to see what the original Zack Snyder cut, because they didn't use a whole lot of it. So the hashtag went around like, you know, release the Snyder cut. So now with Star Wars, the story going around is that there were so many different versions of Rise of Skywalker, and that the movie that we have now is not the movie that JJ wanted and that he thought was going to be released. So when he went, so again, this is all rumor and speculation, but there's a lot of stories floating around that, and like from insiders from Disney, that this is true, that when he went to the premiere and he saw the movie that was released, you know, that's not the one that he wanted. Like he was totally against the Reylo aspect. You know, there's lots of parts in the movie that were reshot that he didn't like. And apparently, you know, he was quoted as saying at one point, "Is like, why don't they just say the dang movie was written and directed by Lucasfilm?" So now everybody started the hashtag release a JJ cut, because the story was supposedly totally different from what JJ had versus what all the reshoots that, you know, all the leaks were talking about through the summer, you know, apparently true. The rewrites and the reshoots that, you know, the movie that JJ wanted to do is not what we got. So,
yeah, it's probably longer, right?
Yeah, I think I heard that. So Rise of Skywalker is like 2 hours and 22 minutes or something like that, and the footage that JJ shot was like almost like 3.5 hours or something like that. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're not going to release. I mean, they probably should have either pushed the movie back to 2020 or did like Harry Potter and released it in two, like, you know, part 1 and part 2. But you know, so like with one of the things I heard that JJ had in his cut is, say the Emperor was back, but he wasn't a physical body. Like the story would have been that, like, you know, when the Emperor was thrown down the shaft, he transferred his essence into like it was so Matt Smith, if anybody's familiar with Matt Smith from the Doctor Who series, Matt Smith was there and shot footage where he was supposed to be the bad guy in this movie called the Dark Acolyte. And supposedly Palpatine's spirit and you know, went into the Dark Acolyte, and so the Matt Smith's character was just the body of the Emperor, but you know, the Emperor was like inside him, you know. So that was, but so then they ended up cutting Matt Smith completely out of the movie. And the other thing that they changed was that JJ was surprised about was at the end of the movie, where, you know, Rey is you know, fighting Palpatine, and she hears all
spoiler warning.
Voices.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. I said spoiler warning. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, spoiler alert.
That's fine. Yeah. If they hadn't figured out by now, then they would be. Yeah.
Oh, and I should say, in full disclaimer, I have not seen the movie. I still have not seen the movie. Everything I know is from the leaks that I've heard.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's fine. But you know, all the leaks have turned out to be 100% true, so I feel like I've seen the movie.
Right.
Full disclaimer, I haven't seen it. But so in the scene where Rey's fighting Palpatine and all the Jedi voices are talking to her, telling her she can do this and all this other stuff, in JJ's version, they actually had the actors, the live like the actors who were in the, like the live action movies. Like they didn't have the animated characters, of course, like from Rebels or Clone Wars and stuff. Like Hayden Christensen was there, Samuel L. Jackson was there as Mace Windu, Ewan McGregor is there as Obi-Wan. And they were actually like shown in JJ's version. They actually showed up as Force ghosts and surrounded Rey and kind of protected her from Palpatine. Where in the movie version that we got, she just hears the voices. So,
right.
But all those actors actually went on set and filmed their parts being on set as Force ghosts. So, which I think probably would have been a lot better than what they got. But so why they went with just the voices, I don't know. But
and it would have made sense for the fact that Yoda coming in The Last Jedi, interacting with the reality, with the tree burning the tree up, and also in the movie where Luke grabs the lightsaber.
Yeah.
So in Rise of Skywalker, she throws the lightsaber away, and she's about to destroy it, and Luke comes out of nowhere and grabs it. So that's a setup for that last scene where they're protecting her. That's why the movie's disjointed, and that's what I'm gonna get on a little tangent here real quickly. But that's my problem with The Last Jedi, is the fact that The Last Jedi was actually not a bad made movie. It's just that the story was okay, I guess. But what I didn't like about it was the forced narration and the virtual signaling they put into it, the identity politics they put into it. They took characters that don't behave that way. They made Luke into a bum, and all that stuff. We talked about this a couple times.
Yeah.
So then when you have The Rise of Skywalker, the only way to fix that is to either retcon the whole movie or to do what you said before, do a two-parter or make a 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
And take your time with it.
So the problem that I have with the whole how they treated the Force in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker is, I'm all for movies or even the animated series, whatever, introducing new Force powers. Like in Force Awakens, we had the opening scene where Kylo freezes a laser bolt, and I thought that was cool as crap.
That was cool.
I was like, we've never seen that in the movie before. I was like, all right, that is bad. That is cool. So stuff like that, I like that. But that when they did that doesn't change and like retcon any previous Force stuff. So in Last Jedi with Yoda interacting with the environment, you look at all this stuff now, like they can pass physical objects back and forth to each other and force heal. So to me, that retcons all the previous movies, because okay, well, if they can force heal now, why did they let Qui-Gon die? Why didn't Luke force heal his dad on the Death Star? And so if they can pass all this stuff off and interact with the physical world, then why, as a Force ghost, why can't you just go and just kick ass all over the place? Because you're already dead, you can't die again. Why did Luke have to go up and blow the Death Star? Just send Obi-Wan to go blow it up, because he's already a Force ghost and he can do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, they would have to explain that maybe there's an evolution in the Force, that they couldn't do it back then. They discovered something new over this time, but you got to explain it, because John is basically saying he loved it. He loved the sequels, and that he thought that Luke has always been a little bitch. So in some ways, he has always been a little bitch. That is true, especially
especially station to pick up some power converters,
especially in the first one and even the second one. Because why you got to go out there? He goes to help his friends, but never ever sees them.
Yeah.
Darth Vader kicks his butt, and nothing he does there changes anything. Yeah. So I get that, but it's Luke Skywalker. So
yeah, that's our childhood.
But I mean, I liked. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I liked Force Awakens. I saw it. I liked it. I liked it for what they were trying to do with it. The Last Jedi to me just kind of undid all that. So it reset everything back to the very beginning. So they had to fix everything in one film. So either you make it 2 films, or retcon The Last Jedi, or make it one long ass film.
Yeah, and I really like The Force Awakens too. I thought they were setting things up. I like the characters. I really liked Force Awakens, and probably like everybody else, I was looking forward to Last Jedi coming out to see where they were going with this. And when I left, I was like, what the hell did I just watch? I don't know what this is anymore, because now I have zero desire to go back and watch Force Awakens ever again because it's meaningless.
Right. That's the problem I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's almost as bad like Alien 3 did with Newt and Reese. Killed them off.
Yeah.
Is that his name, Reese, or was that in the Terminator? The same character who played Terminator and Reese, they killed him and Newt off in the very beginning of Alien 3.
But before Last Jedi came out, I got Force Awakens on Blu-ray, and I watched that thing. And when it was on Netflix, I watched it, and right after Last Jedi came out, I haven't watched Force Awakens since. I haven't watched Last Jedi since, because it's like there's no reason to watch it.
I watched Last Jedi twice in the theater, never on a home, and I watched The Force Awakens 8 times in the theater.
Yeah, I just think that, first off, I think they had no plan. I don't think they had any plan for what they wanted to do with this trilogy. Kathleen Kennedy comes out and says that, oh, well, Palpatine was always part of the plan. No, he freaking wasn't. He was never part of the plan. You're going to tell me that you're going to set him up in the plan and spring him out, in the very last movie? He's never part of the plan. JJ was trying to set something up with Snoke and the Knights of Ren and all this other stuff. And Ryan just completely took it in a different direction and disregarded everything that JJ was trying to set up, and it screwed everything up. And for whatever reason, they don't want to come out and admit it. It's like, yeah, we screwed up.
I'm telling you, man, the Kyle take would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And John saying, look, he says he didn't like the teleporting and the healing. I'm okay with that. Look, I mean, I get that. I mean, it's not perfect. Just bring Luke back. I mean, bring him back as a Force ghost and have him whip some tail. Have him do something outstanding. Have him that's all I really cared about. I understand how it is. I understand how business is, whatever. But that identity politics crap pissed me off, man. In the Last Jedi, the whole thing with the, and I understand what they're trying to do with the whole section when I guess Rose Tico and Finn go off. They're trying to show another side of the universe, that there's a gray area of good and evil, and that there's atrocities across the board and whatever. I get that, but
well, here's two other areas where I think Disney caused problems for themselves. The events of Force Awakens and Last Jedi essentially take place over the course of a week. Because Last Jedi picks up right where Force Awakens leaves off. So they left no room for Rey to get training, to do whatever. And then they have between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, there's like a year break, I believe is what it is. So it gives them a little time to justify, Rey getting stronger in the Force or whatever. And of course, Carrie Fisher passing, there's nothing they can do with that. But that really put them in a bind trying to figure out what they were going to, because that really threw a monkey wrench into their plans.
Right.
But again, there's nothing they could do. I think, they should have had Princess Leia's death in the crawl, explain it in the crawl. Maybe expand the time frame between Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, maybe 2 or 3 years, and then have Princess Leia's death explained in the crawl. Because I would definitely not be in favor of recasting the role to have, because nobody else can play Princess Leia, and I definitely would not want to see another CGI version like in Rogue One.
There was some speculation that the recasting would be done by what's her name? The actress that won 8,000 Academy Awards.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I remember her, and she would be. I think if they had to do it, I think she would have been fine. And I can't remember the actress's name. When I heard her name, I was like, yeah, I could see that. But still, I was like, it's not Carrie Fisher.
Out of Africa, what's her name? That's how old I am.
All right, let's see. What's her name now? That's like trying to recast Harrison Ford as Han Solo. You can't do it.
You like Aaron Eckhart?
What was that?
You like Aaron Eckhart?
Oh no! Oh God, no!
We watched that together, actually.
Yeah. I guess it would help if I actually type in the right name. But yeah, there's just certain actors that define a role, and you can't recast them. Oh, you talking about Meryl Streep?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they did her up
They were
right,
like best friends, and I think Meryl Streep. I think Carrie Fisher played Meryl Streep in her. No, it was one. I think Meryl Streep played her character in one movie, and kind of a weird kind of twist there. And they're like really good friends and stuff. So,
but the only thing is, like, Carrie Fisher carries with her an attitude and a swagger that I don't think Meryl Streep could pull. Because I mean, because there's only one Carrie Fisher, there's only one Harrison Ford, there's only one Mark Hamill. You can't imitate that. So it's like, I mean, if they wanted to have her, just, I don't know, maybe trying to do some of the scenes like they did in Rise of Skywalker, where she's very limited, because I mean, you could, from what I've heard, again, I haven't seen the movie, what I've heard, it's just when Leia shows up on screen in Rise of Skywalker, it's just out of place and very awkward.
I was surprised at how good it was, frankly. But yeah, there are some parts. Here's the thing: it takes you out of the film because you know what's going on. That there's no real interaction.
Yeah,
and you know that Daisy Ridley is locked into what you can or can't say, and that there's never going to be a really good response on Carrie Fisher's part. It's almost like a yes/no answer when she responds back. It's a really, it's nothing. There's no performance with Daisy Ridley at all. So it is because you know the situation that takes you out of the movie. Now, if you're coming in and didn't know that she passed away, you would probably never think anything of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I know Disney was put in a box with her passing. And
it was so funny. Oh, it was on the screen. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
Trump is.
What was that?
Your president is funny, man.
Why?
Go ahead.
Oh. No, like
just that tweet you said was. I'm reading. I mean, he's a master at of marketing.
Yeah.
So
what's he saying now?
Let's see what I see. He just said. I'm just reading how that says, like, I'm just looking at the meme. I mean the actual picture and reading it. It says no U.S. injuries, Trump all is well. Yeah. I mean, to me that's just funny.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was reading. I was like, "Yep, we're good." Well, when he, when they came out with an announcement that he was not going to make any announcement to the American public tonight from the White House, I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, well, that tells me that no Americans were killed and that we're not retaliating right now. So
yeah, because President Trump has not done an Oval Office speech yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
when he does, it's on.
Yeah. So when the announcement came out that he was not going to be addressing American people, I was like, okay, this was not as bad as it sounds. No Americans must have been hurt or killed, and we're going to kind of have a measured response right now.
Well, he's addressed to people from like the East Wing, that long hallway you see back going to the state dining room, that area. He's done stuff from there, but he's never done anything from the Oval Office. So if you ever see Trump behind the Oval Office, it's on.
Yeah. There's a 4.9 earthquake on a Richter scale in Iran right now.
Yeah, he's saving that moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, now we got to come up with some new topics for another video since we just did the release the JJ cut.
Well, we got the Gervais thing we talk about. So he says Trump is a master troll. The Democrats and the fake news media fall for it every time. Iran is one big sandbox. Here's the thing, man. It's like, anytime you know what your enemy is going to do, you can manipulate them.
Mm-hmm.
If you know for a fact that if you say something, they're going to react a certain way, then you can manipulate them one way or the other.
And that's what amazes me. I can't believe that nobody in the Democratic Party hasn't figured out yet what he does with his social media and how he just uses that to manipulate them and make them look foolish, because they fall for it every single time.
Yep. And I think someone said, I saw a tweet a few months back where it said that I think it was the Babylon Bee, which, by the way, the Babylon Bee, they're on fire, man.
They're killing fire right now.
They said like President Trump announced that he's for impeachment, to forcing Democrats to vote against it.
Yeah. Did you see the whole Babylon B CNN thing?
Yeah. Oh, they're pissed. CNN's pissed. Yeah. Because on the day that they have to pay money out for the Sandman.
Yeah, but what was the Babylon B title? Like Babylon B says
launching a new site.
CNN upset there's only room for one fake news site. Yeah, they are killing it right now.
It's funny because when I post Babylon B, people still don't know it's satire.
I know, but with the way things are, sometimes you don't know. I mean, because the Democrats do such ridiculous stuff. They just like, it is quite possible that they could have ordered the flags to be flown at half staff for Iran. That is quite possible. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, man.
And when you got all these loons like Michael Moore coming out saying, "Oh, on behalf of all the American people, we solemnly apologize to Iran and please forgive us." And what was it? What the actor's name? I can't remember her name now. Oh, Rose McGowan. Like, please don't kill us. We're being held hostage. But so to see the story like about flying the flag at half staff, for Iran, that doesn't surprise me.
And their hypocrisy going into what Ricky Gervais said yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how they're able to just look in the mirror at themselves.
Yeah. I loved it so much when he said, come up here, accept your little award, thank your agent, thank your God, and get the bleep off.
He said, you guys don't know anything going on in America.
Yeah.
He was like, most of you have less education than Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. Oh, and so I was watching your video about that, and you mentioned about when the joke about Judi Dench, and you weren't sure what it was about because you didn't have time to research it or look it up.
Yes, Judi Dench. Yes.
Yeah. Have you? I can tell you what the joke was if you haven't looked it up yet or not.
Something about licking, then bleeped out.
Yeah. So he was talking about. So Judi Dench stars in Cats. And
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so she was talking about how it was the role that she was born to play, and all this other stuff. So he was saying, "Oh yeah, this esteemed actress, I guess she was born to play a role where she just sits around licking herself, or essentially something like that." So that's what the joke was about her being in Cats and dressed up as a cat, licking herself.
Oh, okay. That wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But they bleeped something out though. I guess he must have said the P word, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think it was either the vagina or the P word. He was like, "Yeah, she just sits around, lifts her leg, and licks her vagina."
Oh, okay. It just seemed out of place and crass. It seemed like it was an ad hominem attack. Like, what did she do to deserve anything? Yeah. But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was the rolling Cats.
and then he dogged that Martin Scorsese, man. That wasn't right, man. Yeah. It was him. It was the other guy, Pesci.
Oh yeah, when you said Baby Yoda.
Actually, both of them. Actually, because he hit them both of them for the size.
Yeah.
I guess I don't like humor that's just mean to be mean.
Yeah.
And that to me that's what it was. But I don't like vulgarity just for the sake of vulgarity. But I love it when you use that to like make a point. Because it just hammers a point home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was. Oh man, I loved every minute of him calling out Hollywood on their shenanigans, and the faces, like Tom Hanks's face is now a meme, and Tim Cook's face, when he called out about Apple having to run into sweatshops in China,
and Tim Cook right there.
Yeah, it's classic.
And now they're kind of saying that he's a right winger now. And what I was going to talk about today was basically the aftermath and how he basically continued on today trolling the media. He spent the past 24 hours basically just hitting them back again. He's doubling down. Yeah. And Boy George came out today, and he basically said, keep your pronouns at home. Even he's pushing back on this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I hope the pendulum's starting to swing because I'm tired of this nonsense.
Here's the hashtag. John said Ricky Gervais did not kill himself.
Yeah. Just put this out there now. Ricky Gervais did not kill himself.
His days are numbered. So, oh yeah, check this out. So he got, guess how many subscribers he got yesterday, just today alone?
Who, Ricky Gervais?
Yes, in one day.
I'm gonna say he probably hit the 1 million mark, like just yesterday.
I mean, how many new subscribers?
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if he got like 1 million new subscribers.
He said he got 300,000.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say it was gonna be a big bump.
Yeah, 300,000. I mean, yeah, you kind of, yeah. Well, he'll probably, I'm not sure where he is now, but, and then he said, I'm sure you guys aren't gonna like everything I write. So
yeah,
because he's not a liberal. I mean, he's not a conservative. He hates Trump.
Yeah, and that's at least I can respect that about him because he's across the board. You know, he gives it to both sides, which is fine. You know, like if you want to not like Trump, and as long as you know, but it's like the fake outrage against Trump just because he's Trump. You know,
right?
So I mean, I totally have complete respect for somebody who disagrees with somebody just because of whatever, but doesn't take an extreme on the other side, if that makes sense. You know, he gives it to both sides.
Yeah, the cancel culture is what we're talking about here. That you know, and so if you don't like Trump because of his personality, I can't argue with you on that. You know, but if you don't like Trump on because, like you just said, you know, that's a whole other issue altogether. But if you have a specific reason why you don't like him, maybe it's a single issue.
That's one thing I did want to talk to you about at some point, because one thing's always fascinated me about Trump is why does everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but why does like the left hate him so bad when you know dang well back in the day he was the idol and everybody wanted to be him and everybody looked up to him. But now, is it just because that he beat the golden child Hillary in the election? Is that the only reason? Because they all called him like, you know, a racist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, a this or that, but there's no evidence to back any of that up. So it's like, where is it coming from?
Yeah, I can cite 3 examples of so-called racism, but I won't talk about it. If you ask me, I can. I think where it's coming from is this: it's the fact that he's a Republican. If you look at George W. Bush got the same thing, just that Trump's getting it like 10 times more. Look at Mitt Romney. They called Mitt Romney a racist. Well, they got on him for whatever. It's just because you get that R by your name, you're pretty much screwed. And I think the reason for it is,
does the R just mean racist?
The R means racist. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the core principles of the Republican platform is pro guns, and that's a big problem for them because if you want to put your agenda forth with communism, whatever, you have to disarm the American people. Yeah. Because you heard the thing that socialism is so good that you have to force people to do it. Yeah. Right. And so you got to take the guns first. That's one reason. And then also the right to life. You know, the Republican Party since Reagan has moved to the pro-life movement. You can't be a Republican now and be pro-choice. It's swung that far. And now with Trump, it's those 2 issues plus immigration, because that's what's going to keep them from getting their power base. Mm-hmm. And so that's all red herrings to hide the fact that he has those issues. If Trump, you know, right now it's too late. There's nothing Trump could say right now. If we've gone too far for him to go back, he could say, I hate babies. I want to kill them all. I'm going to get rid of all the guns in America. And I want to, I want to import more immigrants. That wouldn't be enough. They would be like, screw that, man, build the wall and pro-life. And we're past that. But because they're just, it's so personal now. But that's where it's all coming from. He underpins their power base. And if you take the guns, if you bring people here legally, and if you support the right to life, then all of that, and not to mention we can get into school choice and other things too. But those are the 3 main issues I think is the reason why they hate him, and because of his brashness, right? Yeah. If he was coming across as if he was just President Bush and really, nuanced. Well, he was very nuanced. Let's take Mitt Romney, very nuanced and thinks about things and is predictable in his actions. That's one thing. They would still hate him, but they wouldn't despise him like they do him, because Trump's like, I don't give a damn. Yeah. Not only did I beat you, I stomped you. I curb stomped you. I enjoyed it. I threw a party and I poured beer on your head while we threw a party around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He rubbed, you know, I'm saying he's got that kind of mentality. I don't care. There's nothing you can say to me that's gonna get me off of my talking point. You know, when they called Romney a racist, when he did that 47% comment, when he said, you know, 47% of the people just won't vote for me, whatever. He spent 2 months backtracking. Trump was like, I said 47. I meant to say 49.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's all part of it too. It's all a big, you know, combination of why they hate him so much.
Well, that's
and plus, he was one of them too. So they hate people who go back and, you know, I mean, and you know, I mean, he was used to be a New York liberal, so to speak, and now he's not, and so that's another reason too.
Yeah. I mean, nothing just irritates me more than when you try to have a discussion with somebody on the left and they just throw out all the ifs that Trump is, but they have no examples to back it up. Oh, well, you support a racist. Well, how is he what has he done? How is he a racist? Well, he just is. You know, that's just infuriating when they just throw it out there, because that's the talking points that they're told to say, you know, with nothing really to back it up.
Yeah, they use like dog whistles, like he says, you know, the blacks or there's a story that his dad had that case against him in the 80s, you know, in Brooklyn, that discriminatory, when that was basically a situation where people weren't paying their rent, and they basically said that you know, we're not discriminating against people who are of color, we're discriminating people who don't pay their rent. And then there's another example that that John brought up actually last time I was on this podcast that I didn't actually answer at the time, but that was a situation where in New Jersey with his casinos, that there was a story that Trump would have the bartenders hide Trump would have the dealers, the blackjack dealers, and the workers who are actually behind the counter doing the gaming, who are black, had them removed, whatever. And the story behind that is, first of all, Trump didn't run the New Jersey casinos. It was his partners who ran that. And that was a request from one of a mob boss who's actually requested that. And that is still a hearsay thing. That's still the story. But it wasn't like Trump did it. It was like a request of a racist mob boss. Yeah. And the person who's in charge of that casino may or may not have even agreed to that. So there's no evidence corroborating it. But even if it was corroborated, it still doesn't involve Trump, because Trump was the one who's actually hands off the casinos. In fact, one of the reasons why he went down in the 90s was because they all died in a helicopter crash, right? The Trump was supposed to be on, by the way, he decided not to go. His entire gaming crew died, and right in the 90s, that's when his whole thing went downhill, because he went into deep depression and he lost the casinos, and the rest is history. So, but those are the only examples I know of him being a racist, considered being a racist.
Yeah, and they talk about him being a sexist, and all I can think of is like, oh, well, you got, you know, your golden child Bill Clinton, you know, taking 27 trips on the Lolita Express and getting a Hummer in the White House, you know, but Trump is the sexist. You know, just because he's married to a stone cold hottie, you know, that everybody's jealous about, and the hottest first lady we've had probably forever, you know, doesn't make him
Jackie.
Huh?
Probably since Jackie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she was cute.
Yeah, but somehow that makes him a sexist.
Oh man, I don't know, man. Have you seen a guy named King Face on the internet?
No.
Do a search on him, King Face. I'm kind of tipping my hand here. I hope nobody will see this, but I'm going to do a series on him on Black History Month. He's an ex gang member. And he is a MAGA extraordinaire. I mean, he's just like, he was on Turning Point, been at the White House. Mm-hmm. And this guy, man, he was talking about, you mentioned the thing about the White House with, and the womanizing thing. He has an answer against his Trump's, you know, I guess the whole thing with him, the Access Hollywood tape. Mm-hmm. And some guy on the street was yelling at him, talking about, "Yo, man, I can't believe that you like this guy, because you know, talking about women, whatever." He says, "Yo, man," he said, "Are you with your homies, man? You drink a few beers, whatever, you talk, whatever, you off the record, whatever. Have you ever said anything about a woman that you wouldn't, you know, say, oh, yeah, babe, that's beside the point?" I said, "Dude, he was running for president. He was a millionaire. You know, he was. So you trying to tell me you're gonna hold him something off the record, something that he might have done?" He said, you hear it all the time. People say, "Well, this woman likes me so much that she could do this, she do this." That's all he was talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he actually did it. It was something he was saying. That he basically trying to tell the guy that he was basically being. I don't want to say the word, but he's basically being real. You know what I mean? He was just being with his homies and saying, "Look, this is just how it is." He's just being, And then the guy was like, "You know what? You got a point there." And so he breaks it down in a way that's applicable to people who. I don't want to say live TV, but I think you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. Well,
he identifies more with the hip hop community than you want to give him credit for.
Yeah.
If you look at him like that, then it's nothing more. He's just a walking rap song.
Yeah.
Especially if you go back to the 90s, who was hanging around. He was just like everyone was talking about the Trump, the Trump persona, the Trump bling. Tupac was talking about it. It was just like, that's what it was.
A lot of people look up to like the politicians and celebrities like they're not human, and so they hold them to a higher standard. When you realize they are human, they have the same conversations that like you and I do offline. Talk about the same things. So it's like when that stuff comes out, it's like, what do you expect? Yeah, it is kind of locker room talk. And if you're hanging out with your buddies, you're gonna say crap like that. I don't care who you are. If you're a famous Hollywood actor, if you're the president of the United States, you're going to have these conversations because you're human. You're not going to have it in front of with a microphone in front of you on camera. But if you're hanging out with your buddies and you think it's safe conversation, you are going to talk like that.
Oh, you can do this. Check it out.
Oh yeah, I just saw that pop up.
Wow.
I know that's why I love him. I love him because he speaks his mind, and I love him because he don't give an AF. About anything. He just says what he wants. And I think that's why he's such a threat to the Democrats, because they can't control him. He can't be bought because he's already a self-made millionaire. So, he's not going to come into the presidency to try and get rich. And he just don't care.
And actually he's losing money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what other president's going to donate, his salary every quarter to some charity or whatever? I mean, he that's the thing. Every other politician in Washington, D.C. needs that job. He doesn't need that job.
Right.
Everybody else goes into politics to get rich because they know they can. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to go into politics to get rich, but they know that you can get rich going into politics with all the kickbacks and stuff. And he doesn't need that.
I think everyone needs to see the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Hollywood. I'm sorry. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Came out in 1939, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Jimmy Stewart.
Yep. And that's another thing I'll say this, one thing about President Trump is this, we've talked about politicians for a long time, almost our entire lives. Well, it wouldn't be nice if you found somebody who could come in there, says what he says, means what he says. This doesn't have lobbyists, interest groups, PACs, someone who can come in with enough money to get himself to Super Tuesday and all the way to the White House and, not be influenced by the people who got him there, and basically, does this thing. Now you have Trump. That's what he is. Yeah. I mean, he's not a Republican. He's not a ideologue. He's not a person. He's not Ted Cruz. Mm. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is getting more towards Trump actually, because he's getting kind of ballsy now. So I'm going to remove Ted Cruz from that. He's not a Rand Paul, right? Mm. Rand Paul is a consummate ideologue. Albeit he sticks by his guns. I don't like him on some things, but he's consistent. But he's not one of those kind of people. He says, okay, I want to fix a problem. How do we fix it? Okay, we need to do something that's the Democrats are in favor of, that's not popular. Well, let's do that. So he's more of a pragmatic. He's more a pragmatist than anything. It's not Trump's fault that all of the solutions are on the right. I guarantee you, if all the solutions were on the left, that would truly help America in a true way, he would do those too. But unfortunately, fortunately for the Democrats, there is no policy that they support, especially now, that is as helpful, because they've gone way so far to the left that it's all communist, socialist. So
yeah, when I think their entire agenda on the left is just anti-Trump. So Trump could come out tomorrow and say he cured cancer, and the Democrats would be against the cure for cancer just because it's for Trump.
Save the viruses.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
can save the cancer cells. Every cancer cell has a right to live.
Are you about ready to wrap this up?
Yes. Yes. So, all right. So this is cool. I learned some things about this software. So next time, if we do it, if we
Yeah, I like how that little chats can pop up. That would have been useful like an hour ago.
Yeah, I didn't want. Yeah, I didn't want to do it live for the first time just because I didn't know. Screw you, Kyle. Your channel sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to write that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So anything you want to say before we close this out?
No, it's always fun to come on. I look forward to when we do these. So I can't wait till we can do it again.
Next time I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I like the little Q&A session you can do too. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, you can bring up these screens here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, all right. Let me. So with that, everybody, I thank you all for coming on. The people that made comments and so forth, and especially John. And make sure you get with him. And so since I've already spoiled everything I want to do for the next 2 months, you know, be on the lookout for that. All right, so cool. So with that, I hope everyone has a good night, and we will check you out next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Like, subscribe, and share, and at least watch the video halfway through.